start the whole thing.
Hi, everyone. This is Julie Stark with On Your Left Fitness, and I'm here with Steve Landau from Everyone Runs and Marilyn Chychota from Chychota Coaching. And thank you, Marilyn, for joining us today. This is our Embrace Tucson, Embrace Local Racing, and Embrace Your Inner Athlete. And you've been involved in elite sports pretty much since you were a young girl, about 9 or 10 years old, correct? And
yeah. Thanks for having me, Julie. But yeah.
And your professional resume that I found online, I'm gonna be honest, you talk about three main sports: equestrian, show jumping, cycling, and triathlon. But there are at least one other sport that I know of, and that was, or two actually: powerlifting, Olympic lifting type stuff, and then also CrossFit. So you're kind of an all-around go get it kind of girl. You're out there doing it all, in my opinion. So you've been, like I said, racing since you were 10. You were a triathlete pro starting in 1999, and you won Ironman Malaysia in 2004. And you won, took second place in 2004, also in Ironman France. And then you took third in 2005 at Western Australia. So, but some of your other accolades are that you are a state time trial and criterium racing champion. And you're also Arizona State's 40 to 45 title holder in powerlifting. So that kind of touches on a little bit of who you are. Over the years, you've been competing, but your big thing right now is you're a coach, and you're helping all the athletes around the world, manage this new abnormal we're going through. So we just kind of wanted to reach out to you as somebody who's been a very high power, athletic person throughout your entire life, and now how you're helping other people manage what's going on now.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. It's fun is that I do like to try a lot of different things, and I think I'll be able to offer a unique insight in that because I've done a lot of different sports, and I apply a basic philosophy towards life and towards whatever sport it is. So whether it was show jumping when I was young, and then I transitioned into cycling and triathlon, had a professional career in those. And then as I retired from professional racing, went into more personal achievement goals with the strength sports, the philosophy that I've applied throughout my life, and then now into coaching, or whether it's running a business or whatever that is the same. And so I think, people are adaptable, and we're able to do a lot of things that maybe we think we can't even, we can't do unless we try. However, applying the same set of tools over and over again, you can be successful in whatever you try to do. And I think that applies to our current situation as well. So that's been something that I install in my athletes, and something I've carried throughout all those sports and different things that I've tried in my life, for sure.
Is there a sense of a different way of motivating people right now? Do people need greater motivation right now? Is there anything lacking in triathletes and athletes in general under this new abnormal?
Yeah, I think, when you work with a lot of different athletes, the main thing is that if you're a coach, you're looking at each athlete individually, and each person is going to handle it differently. Some people are going to adapt to their new normal and just focus on the things in front of them and just keep, rolling ahead with what is the best thing for them within their development, and keep, moving forward. And some people are going to struggle with that a little bit more. And each person, I think, in a time like this needs something different. Some maybe need a little, like anything, when you go through changes, some people need a little bit more space to find their own feet. Some people need a little push and a little nudge. Some people maybe need more structure given to them. Some people may figure out, feel how they're going to do this, what they can manage everybody's home life is a little bit different as well. Possibly, for some of us, they're like, well, it's an opportunity that I'm home from work and I live in sunny Tucson and I can go out and ride a bunch. And now I have this huge opportunity to work on my cycling a bunch if I'm a triathlete. And other people are, quarantined to an apartment where they are only allowed outside for 2 hours a day, and they've got 4 little kids at home and that were suddenly at school, and their whole situation has changed and they're managing a lot of different things. So, my main point with that is I think as the coach, you have to look at just like their training, just like their development from start to end, just like their race season, this situation is no different, and their mental makeup, how they handle things, where you look at each individual situation. And your job as a coach is to come up with the best possible plan to keep them on track, right? We're going to continue to keep them on track and continue to help them manage all of this and what's going to be the best situation for them.
What advice would you give people these days, not just triathletes, but people about exercising, people about staying mentally sharp?
Yeah, I think
understand that, but just in general.
Yeah, most of us are really, really goal orientated, and we're usually pushing towards a very immediate goal. So, and now that's been removed, right? So if you had a race in 3 months or possibly a huge event that you've been working towards for years within the next few weeks or something like that, and suddenly that's gone, that can be really deflating, right? And so what I've encouraged athletes to do is say, look at the big picture and think 1 year down the road and maybe even possibly 2 years down the road. So you might, you had your training plan, you had a certain event picked out, and now that's been put on hold. And we have these skills within us as athletes and coaches where we've done this before where, an injury's popped up and now possibly we're not going to get to go to that event. So this is no different in that we say, okay, maybe I'm not going to get to do this event that I planned on in the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or maybe even this year. However, if I'm looking at, obviously you're doing this because you love it, you're committed for a long extended period of time. Maybe you take a little reset period and reevaluate your overall plan. And you say, okay, well, what is it that I want to work on right now towards my 1 year plan, my 2 year plan? And we do that as athletes anyways. We just do short-term goals, long-term goals. Those long-term goals might be within 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, and even for Olympic athletes, 4-year plans. And so, you go back through that, sit down with someone or with yourself or with your coach and say, okay, the short-term goals, we're gonna change what those look like and make them process goals towards that, possibly 6-month goal, 1 year goal, and then even 2 year goal or 4 down the road. So that's going to help you sort of mentally reset. And I think once you know what you're focusing on today, tomorrow, this week, and next week towards what's happening, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to find that new energy to say, okay, today this is what I'm working on. And you don't feel that, well, what am I doing right now? We get unmotivated when we don't know what we're doing because we're goal-driven people, and we usually know, hey, on Monday I'm doing this, on Tuesday I'm doing that, on Wednesday I'm doing that, and I know exactly why I'm doing it, and I know what direction it's going. That's how we work as athletes, really, in our day-to-day life. So when that's taken away, we get a little lost and confused, and maybe even feelings of being a little bit depressed or, really starting to give up, all those things. But if you immediately set that in place where you're like, okay, let's look at what the short-term goals need to be changed towards process goals towards later in the year, or possibly even, I've even taken, if later in the year happens, great. That's a bonus. That's icing on the cake. Let's look at what are we doing today to work towards next year. And if we think like that, then we're going to set ourselves up for success within this year.
That's good advice. Thank you.
I agree. I've always been that kind of person that I can sign up for these, big races. I've done a couple of Ironman distance races. I've done, some ultra running type stuff. But if I don't have at least a 5K or some sprint try in my bank for when I'm done, I will spiral into depression, because it's like, okay, now what? So I think this is good advice to just remind people we are career athletes. We are not this one and done. society. We feed off of the motivation of other people and to keep something in the bank. So you always know, okay, I might not get to do it right now, but I am going to get to do it eventually. So let's just keep moving forward with that and stay on track, I guess, stay focused. So thank you, Marilyn, so much. Really, really appreciate it. And we just want to remind everybody to please, embrace local, embrace Tucson and everything that we have to offer. And be sure to look up Marilyn because she's an awesome coach, I can tell you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.